seriously popular.
Welcome to the Life of Bryony, where we embrace life's messier moments. Today, it's all about Christmas, and it's a family affair. I'm joined by my mum, Jane, my dad, Jack, and my brother, Rufus, as we dig into the highs and lows of our Gordon family Christmases.
There's something about the intrinsic value of Christmas when you're told to fuck off, that you know exactly where you are. The moment you say that, everything seems to fall into place.
Christmas memories, festive mishaps, and of course, family drama right after this.
Wow.
What's up?
I just bought and financed a car through Carvana in minutes.
You? The person who agonized 4 weeks over whether to paint your walls eggshell or off-white bought and financed a car in minutes?
They made it easy. Transparent terms, customizable down and monthly. Didn't even have to do any paperwork.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Hey, have you checked out that spreadsheet I sent you for our dinner options?
Finance your car with Carvana and experience total control. Financing subject to credit approval.
What is... Dax, are you?
Tracking all our cars on Carvana Value Tracker on all our devices? Yes, Kristen, yes I am.
Well, I've been looking for my phone for...
In Dax's domain, we see all. So we always know what our cars are worth.
All of them?
All of them. Value surge, trucks up 3.9%.
That's a great offer.
I know. Sell?
Sell.
Track your car's value with Carvana Value Tracker today.
Welcome to the Christmas episode, a very festive episode of the Life of Bryony, which the producer has called Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Because my special guests this week, I've interviewed royalty, I've interviewed Spice Girls, but I've never interviewed my mum, my dad, and my brother.
Hi.
The whole thing of an interview is I'll say something and then you say something in response.
Well, there's nothing I can say after that. I mean, you've completely stumped me. I didn't expect that at all. I was expecting something completely different. Now I'm completely thrown and feel very, very embarrassed. In fact, not just embarrassed, I feel quite marginalised. But I suppose that's possible. Being an old person, you get used to marginalisation. I mean, it was like on the bus when I was coming here. I felt I got marginalised by the bus driver.
Okay, that is
and
enough.
The attitude.
That is enough. The podcast is over.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't explain my feelings because I keep getting blocked off. That's the problem with old people.
Yeah.
Don't you think so? I do.
That's my dad. His name is Jack. And then there's my mother called Jane.
Hello, darling.
And then there's Rufus, my brother.
Hi, mate.
Rufus is you're much younger than me.
I am.
I was 12 when you were born.
Yeah.
My sister, Naomi, our sister, Naomi, is not here because she claims that she had to work.
Yeah, even though you gave her a couple of dates for it. Yeah.
I wanted to do an episode about the nightmare, not before Christmas, although this is a nightmare before Christmas, the nightmare that is family Christmases, because everyone always talks about how it's the most wonderful time of the year. And on this podcast, we don't like to talk about the wonderful things. No. We prefer to shed light on the dark. So I thought, what a better way than to bring in the very people that fucked me up in the first place.
Well, I think that's very, very fair. And as you say, but the point is, recent research suggests that there are more heart attacks and deaths at Christmas time than at any other time of the year.
Have you actually done research for this podcast, Dad?
I've not done research. I've just picked up on some research. And people falling over like ninepins at Christmas.
Particularly 2015. Should we talk about that one?
Oh. Well, when you look at 2015, it's hardly surprising. I was amazed we came out the other
let's
side.
Let's not talk about 2015
just yet.
I was brought in to talk about 2015. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't the fact that I was able to talk about 2015.
My mother, your grandmother, who we all loved, she used to call Christmas the capital city of family. And in a way it is, but maybe we give it too much importance in our lives.
I dread Christmas, having to go to you and say that we're spending Christmas in any other fashion than with you, with you in full control.
I know. Well, since 2015, I've been very hands-off.
If you think that's bad, what do you think about my parents, whose parents came over from Lithuania, Litvaks, I think they call them, and they put their stockings out every Christmas.
They were Jewish.
Yeah, they were celebrating Hanukkah, Dad.
The sting is in the tail, and they still put out their stockings, and they put coal in the stockings and orange peel.
That's what you got.
So that was the relationship between my family and Christmas, which is slightly different from the ones that we experienced.
Yes, but you, again, your family was Jewish.
So they didn't.
They were
So you
Jewish,
didn't
as indeed I
celebrate
am.
Christmas. So
Well, there are plenty of Jewish people celebrate Christmas now, but obviously not in those days.
I haven't planned any particular questions because I just thought this will just go off.
We had different Christmases, though.
What do you mean?
I had different childhoods, you, Bryony. It's like we're like half siblings, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, it's
Well,
not
now
like-
it all comes out. Well, are we half siblings?
Yeah.
Half his childhood and a different...
Yeah, just different vibes. So you kind of had your like mad 90s Christmases.
No, I think we
80s
had.
Christmases.
I think we had quite traditional Christmases, like before you came along.
So what? Mine were traditional.
Certainly, because Mum and Dad got divorced when you were like how old?
10, I think.
Yeah, so me and Naomi definitely had
age
the
for it.
more sort of like, I think of Christmas was just very, very straightforward, probably until you turned 10 and it was very straightforward. We, there were stockings in the morning, we'd spend
The
it.
stockings were ridiculous, by the way.
What did you love about the stockings?
Yeah, they were just mad. But this is another thing: is Mum putting themselves like they get better each year, and they wouldn't be like stockings, right? So you imagine stockings just like that big sock.
They were
They were tights, double-legged tights, right? And then they would have and then there would always like an orange at the end. But then it would just be like Reese's cups, like pants from Urban Outfitters or something.
Yeah.
It's basically, it was full of all the expensive stuff on the way to the till that you think like no one's buying that. Mum was basically funding that economy. That's why they have.
I tell you what,
That's why they have-
Christmas bankrupted me every year. I mean, I used to spend a fortune, and that was also part of it. Like if we were all together and everyone had all the presents they'd ever thought of, dreamed of, then all was well in my world.
The sibling rivalry with Naomi saying, "Don't buy Bryony that. She doesn't really want it. She told me she doesn't want it. Don't buy it for her." But I like it. I like
to
it
defend
very, very
herself,
much.
so let's
Why
get
don't you
stuck
buy
in.
it for me? In fact, you buy it for me, and then you can give me the one that you were going to give Bryony. Because she doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. She said she didn't want it.
That, even as an adult.
We said in Woolworths.
At 44, Christmas does bring out that kind of primal childlike thing in me where I'm sitting there and I'm like, they've got Naomi a better present. They've got Naomi a bigger present. They like her more. And I'm like, you're fucking 44, Bryony. But there is something, but even just coming on the way here, just as we started to walk through the building, I sort of transformed into 15-year-old Bryony. The closer we got to the door and the closer I got to the idea of being seen with my family outside of like the home, like in public, out of the context of family, like
you just hang out with us, like you like us.
just like the mortification that I
owning up to your family.
of having to be like, oh, I just feel so embarrassed, and that's how I feel at Christmas.
Really?
Well, thank you for letting us know before we've gone out to buy you your presents. I think that's going to have a great impact on what we choose, if indeed we choose anything at all on that
But
basis.
what I mean is Christmas does bring out sort of all of those really basic family dynamics. Like I always remember someone very wise saying to me, your family know how to push your buttons because they installed them. And I think it's true, right? I remember you arguing because you threw away
my main present.
your main present one year. You've always been so obsessive about cleaning up that you would be putting the wrapping away before anyone had finished actually unwrapping.
And the problem was that there were some children in that wrapping as well. That was the real problem.
But it was always very kind of, stockings, and we'd spend 1 year with, my cousins and 1 year with grandparents or whatever. But then as you get older, divorce happens, which is a very normal thing for lots of families. Christmas can start to become more complicated.
Can I just say, before your sobriety, when you were sort of grown up, you and your sister, do you remember you'd come home
From the barley mow.
from the barley mow?
And then I'd be asleep upstairs, 8-year-old, and Mum would come out and be like, Christmas is cancelled. I'd be like, no, I'd come downstairs crying,
Well,
Brian
'cause
and
me and
Amy are
Amy-
battered.
Because we'd got so dry.
So drunk at the barley mow.
On Christmas
It was
Eve.
the barley mow. I didn't know what the barley mow was.
You like
I was
some-
like, what is this barley? I can't
that-
wait to get 18 and go to the barley mow on Christmas Eve.
I think when you and Naomi were younger, Christmas was much simpler, and it wasn't quite so fractured when you get married and
You've got in-laws.
and you've got your in-laws and,
Thank God.
and you've got Edie, and so it becomes slightly more complicated, and it's not a simple unit.
But also, I feel like you, Mum, the older we got, the more pressure you put on yourself to continue producing
A perfect
a magical,
Stopping
perfect
Christmases.
family Christmas.
It was ridiculous. It was like, I remember upsetting you once by saying it was OCD. It was an obsessive Christmas disorder. And that was...
By making light of the terrible mental illness I've
I am
suffered from
making
since I
light
was 12
of
years
it.
old.
But that's
Shining
how
a
I
light on it,
was.
maybe.
I was completely obsessive about Christmas until, can I dare say it, 2015.
Yes, you keep. Listen,
It's like Shudder,
none of
innit?
us have gone there, but you obviously want to get out.
Well, I know I'm going to be
Stop.
punished for it.
So, 2015, you
I just moved.
You'd moved out of London. To be fair, the two of you have always been quite good at, since you got divorced, you always come together at Christmas, which I think is quite unusual.
Yeah, we do. More so as we've gone along, really.
I don't know whether it is unusual. It certainly wasn't unusual for us, but there was a genuine desire to come together at Christmas, and I think there's sort of the residues of affection and
Residues of affection. That's my favourite phrase.
And it's capital
Residues
city of family.
affection.
Again, capital city of family.
yes,
It's that
I
being
think
together.
I think that's right, but I think it's the other way around. I think it's not that Christmas has the pull; it's just that you want to do it because the emphasis comes from us wanting to do it and not from Christmas being a magnetic field that pulls you closer to it. I think we've taken the opportunity, as we sometimes do at birthdays as well, to do that. And I think the reason for that is that we much prefer to be together than we would be apart.
But you've been divorced now for almost as long as you were married. Is that fair to say?
We were married for 25 years.
Yeah.
Coming up to it.
Yeah,
you
next
seem to-
year it's our 50th wedding anniversary.
So you've almost been divorced but you do seem to get on better the longer you're divorced, if that makes sense. I'm like, have you actually got back together? Do you want to use the podcast to...
No, but we
we've got
do.
back together in some ways.
Excuse me. I mean, Christmas is like pretending it's like 1997 again.
yeah,
For the
yeah.
last 5 years, Dad and Mum just
Oh
together.
dear, the walls were coming in for a moment there. I think I was hallucinating.
Because there might be people listening who are perhaps about to spend their first Christmas. They might have just got divorced. They might, not be at the stage where they're even able to look at their ex-partner. And, I wondered if you had any words of advice for them to let them know that things change and things get better.
Probably don't get divorced in the first place.
Don't get married.
Absolutely, don't get divorced in the first place. And besides, time heals all. So, I think that you look back and you review things and you just do things in a different way, and I think it's based on a certain amount of regret. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe we shouldn't have got divorced. Maybe we
if
should
we'd
have stuck
done this
together.
and done that.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to live out or live through that period of not wanting to do it. So we are together, and the interesting thing is, I find anyway, is that we can be together in silence, which is quite interesting.
You mean you don't talk?
We do talk and we don't talk in equal measure. And there isn't that overarching need to say something
fill us
or
out.
to talk about something. You can still be relaxed in a degree of silence.
That's the sign of a healthy relationship, I think.
Yes, but divorce isn't the sign of a healthy relationship.
Well, but you
it's just-
say that, but for some people it might be. Maybe you have to go through that process to get to the place where you're in a healthy relationship.
To learn and grow, Dad.
Well, I mean...
Are you learning and growing?
Learn and shrink, I think, probably more than learn and grow. But I think it's probably, to a degree, making up for lost time, Maybe it would have been better not to have divorced, and if we didn't divorce, we'd be together. So what if we're together a little bit more now? And I think that's a reaction from thinking twice about having been divorced.
Yes.
Yeah, sure thing.
Hey, you saw that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yeah?
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient. Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.
Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
Let's go to 2015, though.
So I've moved to this little quaint cottage in the country.
It's quite like the one out of The Holiday.
Yeah.
That Kate Winslet lives in.
And I've built a cabin at the bottom of the garden where you were staying, weren't you?
I was staying. I was
Freezing.
in the Heidi house, in the Psycho barn.
Ice Station Zebra.
Ice Station Zebra.
I was just obsessed by having this perfect Christmas. So
Edie was, my daughter, was 2 years old.
Yeah.
That's right. And we'd only just at that time, if you remember, set up the escape committee.
So you created an escape committee in the cabin.
So that you would go to the pub, wasn't it?
We were thinking about getting away because things were starting to go to boiling point. The mercury was rising and tensions were appearing.
So it's Christmas Day and the turkey is in the oven. They've gone to the pub. This was
When you say they, all of us
all
have
of you.
gone to the pub.
And I'm cooking and then there's suddenly a power cut.
Now, the interesting thing was on our way back from the walk, all the lights were out.
I have no memory of...
That was the harbinger.
You came in.
No, I remember coming in singing, "Do you want to build a snowman?"
That was it was like great. Oh my God, it was a great
And I
30
said-
seconds that.
No, we don't want to build a snowman.
I think he said no, fuck off, and then the closed the door. Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We all come back from the pub and I'm singing, "Do you want to build a snowman?" And Mum says, "No, fuck off." Which is always a really great way, I think,
Of welcoming you.
To welcome
It's certainly a Christmas.
I knew there would be so much shame.
Certainly at Christmas. There's something about the intrinsic value of Christmas when you're told to fuck off. Then you know exactly where you are. Everything, the moment you say that, everything seems to fall into place.
Can I just say that I think at some point I'd said something terrible. I said worse than fuck off to you.
Yes,
What did you say?
Oh, I think I
use the
used
C word?
I think I used the C word.
What do you mean, Christmas?
I got into the cupboard and I cried.
But hang on.
Oh, right.
No,
So
no,
wait,
no,
but-
you didn't.
Skipping
What
ahead.
happened? You were in full flight, lashing out at everybody,
Oh no, Mum, this is like punishment.
swearing at everybody.
I knew.
It wasn't
And
quite
the
that.
only thing that saved us from total annihilation was the fact that you slipped on the goose fat
God.
and banged your head on the floor.
I don't remember that.
Well, probably was. Yeah.
You
Silence
dropped.
was golden.
This is
on
the
There was
thing.
goose fat all over the floor.
You dropped the turkey. The turkey. You were bringing the turkey.
Oh gosh, they see. Isn't
You
it funny?
bringing the turkey out of the oven, and you slipped on something.
On the goose fat.
So the lights were out, and then you
turkey
just told me to
everywhere.
fuck off, and you called Dad a word that ends in UNT that isn't aunt, and you had we came in and got and then you slipped and dropped the turkey on the floor.
No, and fell over at the same time.
And fell over. I think you bumped your head on something.
That's right.
Oh, that
But
might
if
explain
you
it all.
thought that this had that was, that's kind of enough. But then when finally, I think Harry, my husband, got the lights back on,
That's right.
did something, we kind of sorted it out. There was a
trestle,
fucking
extended
tablescape,
Before that,
like the kind of thing you'd see on Instagram. So then we were all sitting around this tablescape, and Mum puts the turkey down, and Rufus sits down.
This is
and the whole table collapses.
Yeah.
It collapses, and red wine
And
goes everywhere.
Bearing in mind, Mum has had this huge, I don't know what we call it, a kind of, not a breakdown, but like a whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was remembered as the time Rufus knocked the table over.
No, I don't.
Someone anecdoted that, and that was the story title.
I want to just say that listening back to this whole 2015 thing, I do think that, Mum, I think you've been very unfairly characterised, and we would like to start, the hashtag Justice for Jane. Because actually, looking back, and I think this is something that will resonate with lots of female listeners, that so often the women get all the flack for anything that goes wrong. Actually, it's very normal that you would lose your shit when, just as you're getting to the, the like pinnacle of this thing that you've been planning for months.
Well, I think that's true, because I always felt, that you'd spent weeks, months shopping, hiding presents, getting all the food and all the rest of it. And who gets all the credit? Father Christmas.
Very good point,
Not
Mum.
Mother Christmas.
Yeah.
And it is Mother Christmas, isn't it?
Yes, God damn it. I think it's true. And I think that pressure, because it is, it's, I saw there was like a post on Instagram I saw this morning, and it was about how it's okay if you are uncomfortable with gift giving because you grew up in a house where the mother was always tense. And what was wonderful was that I read the comments and everyone was like, yeah, you're goddamn right the mother was always fucking tense. Because the father never fucking did anything. And there was this kind of like spike back, and I think that's true. And I think it's still like, I definitely know Harry doesn't really get it. Like he's definitely like, she's got a tangerine and a walnut cracker in her stocking. I think that's enough, don't you? And I'm like, absolutely not.
It's never enough.
No.
It's never enough.
And he just doesn't understand the pressure, I guess, that, we put on ourselves to make Christmas magic.
And Mother has responsibility for making it magic.
2015, that was one of my very last Christmases of drinking. And I remember 2 years later, I came out of rehab. I graduated from rehab like a week before Christmas. And I remember there were a couple of us leaving. And I remember the counsellor, Dougie, I remember him saying, this is, someone saying, how are we going to cope being sober at Christmas with our families? And he said, smile and wave. And then he said, and his other piece of advice was, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? And I said, well, I'd like to be both if at all possible. And he said, no, you can only pick one. And actually, that's really good advice for all life situations where I decided I wanted to be right. No, I'm joking. I wanted to be happy. But obviously, Christmas then became like a different thing for me, because obviously a lot of the Christmas jollity is around champagne and Bucks Fizz and drinking and whatever, and that obviously was not something that is not. So I mean, I think this is my 8th sober Christmas, which is, I'm kind of used to it now. But definitely I started to create like different traditions.
Like going to Thailand.
We went to Thailand one year, me and Harry and Edie.
And you went to your in-laws one year. I was very angry about that.
I mean, that's quite normal.
When was the last time we spent Christmas together?
Can we just,
last Christmas.
We spent last Christmas together.
Yeah,
when was the last time? But I also think, like, Christmas to me, it's about Edie and it's about presents for her. And, I think because I've seen how much pressure you've put on yourself to get, how stressed you got out about it, I'm like, that isn't kind of how I want to do it. This year, I'm going away. I'm not even going to spend Christmas with my husband because he's got to work. So we're going to somewhere hot, me and Edie, with my best friend and her kids. Like, Christmas is what you make of it, isn't it? And I feel quite kind of comfortable about that. But I know other people there are some people that said to me, oh, you're not going to be spending Christmas with your family. And I'm like, oh, isn't that sad? And I'm like, no, I don't find it particularly.
I find it a bit sad, Bryony, but then, you know.
We're spending time together now, though.
We're spending time together. And isn't this fun?
Yes.
But at the same time, I think after 2015, I kind of abdicated Christmas. It was no longer, it doesn't bother me. I used to have dreams, you know, like in the middle of summer about it being the night before Christmas and I hadn't got any Christmas presents and I'd be running around trying.
Mental.
And I literally did.
I think there's this pull that Christmas has for you, Craig, and that's why you were saying it would be nice for us as much as possible to be together in Henley with you. So Christmas is a catalyst for family.
That's what it is.
And for family to be together. And
Yes,
I think you hold on to that very strongly.
Can I just make the point that I have attempted to create a family event, a date, a couple of days before Christmas, and
that suits Bryony down to do that. Yeah. But not many other people. But we will make it happen because Christmas is not about. It's about Edie now.
It's true.
It is.
And Edie's gone out with her pocket money and bought us all presents, so
she has, and I think she's like, for me as well, presents. Like, I'm not really actually, despite that thing of like, oh, my sister gets a better present. Have to be honest. If I want something, I just go out and buy it for myself.
But you do like presents.
No, but I like giving. But I like giving presents.
I know, so do I.
And I think Edie's really inherited that. Yeah, she's sort of taken all her pocket money that she saved up, and she's gone and bought very specific presents for everyone that she is really excited to give to you all. So you better be there.
You better be there.
Thank you, family, for coming in to be my very special festive guest on this very special festive episode of The Life of Bryony.
It's weird, we only seem to hang out when you're getting paid to do so.
That is so unfair. You literally have lived in my spare room for 8 months.
Oh, we can cut this now.
For free.
Yeah,
for free. A huge thank you to my mum and dad, Jane and Jack, sounds very formal, and my brother Rufus for sharing their memories and quote unquote wisdom. Whether you're navigating family tensions, trying to manage holiday chaos, or just hoping to get through Christmas without setting something on fire, I hope this episode has brought you a little bit of joy. See you on Friday.